What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 175 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Friday, July 31st, 2026. I'm your host, Zach Malama. Before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of baseball, as both of your teams were in action this week, and we start things up in the Bronx with the New York Yankees. They were out continuing on this road trip, 3 in Philadelphia, followed by 4 in Chicago against the White Sox, and then another 3 at Wrigley in Chicago against the Cubs on the weekend. But looking at this White Sox series, it started on Monday, and the Yankees come out and win 9-5. It was not starting well for the Yankees with a 3-0 deficit in the bottom of the first. The White Sox put up a 3-spot. Yankees respond in the top of the fourth, though. They put up 4 runs to take a 4-3 lead. White Sox tie it in the bottom of the fifth, but Ben Rice hits an RBI single to give the Yankees a 5-4 lead in the seventh. And Jazz Chisholm does a great job of forcing an error on a bunt single. That gets another run in at 6-4. Ali Sanchez, the next couple of batters, ends up hitting a 3-run bomb. How about his first major league home run? A 3-run shot into left to give the Yankees a 9-4 lead. White Sox score 1 run in the ninth, and it finishes 9-5 the final. Yankees continue to roll on into Tuesday's game. Garrett Cole on the mound. He's looked really good the last couple of outings, and he did so again. 6 innings, scoreless baseball. 4 hits allowed, no runs with 2 walks and 7 Ks, 99 pitches. Yankee bullpen locks it down. Shavili for an inning, Hedrick for an inning. It did get a little hairy towards the end with David Bednar on the mound. He ends up letting up a 2-run bomb to Meadroth to make it 3-2 with 2 outs in the ninth, but he gets the last out, and the Yankees win it 3-2 the final to take the first 2 of this 4-game series. Then you go into Wednesday's game, and this is when it got a little bad for this Yankees team. It started off really well. Spencer Jones was the huge contributor in the first inning. A 3-run bomb to give the Yankees a 4-0 lead after Goldschmidt hit an RBI single. The White Sox end up responding, though, and that's where it got real hairy for this Yankees team. Paul Blackburn on the mound, an inning and 2/3, 2 hits allowed, 2 earned with 1 walk and 2 Ks. It did not help that Fernando Cruz just before that got in a little bit of trouble. Blackburn comes into the game and allows a couple of bombs. Not great for the Yankees, and they end up going into extra innings. It was not great in the 10th. They didn't get a run, but they did lock things down in the bottom of the 10th with Camilo Doval, or Tim Hill, gets out of trouble. Then you go into the 11th, and Anthony Volpe with a sac fly to give the Yankees a 5-4 lead. Ali Sanchez, though, a little bit too aggressive in the bottom of the inning. At catcher, he throws it to third to try and get a pickoff to end the game. It ends up flying by the third baseman, McMahon, and the run comes in to score. It's 5-5 going into the 12th. Yankees can't get the ghost runner in the 12th inning, and Caro ends up responding with an RBI single in the 12th. And it's 6-5 White Sox in walk-off fashion. They defeat the Yankees 6-5 in 12. Then you go to the next game. A little bit more of the same. An extra innings continues to bite the Yankees. They were 1-7 after Wednesday's game in extras, and now they are 1-8. 2-1 the final after a RBI walk to walk it off in the 11th inning. Peters ends up walking. Fernando Cruz can't find the strike zone, and the Yankees lose it 2-1. No runs throughout the entire 9 innings. It was Grisham who hit an RBI single in the 10th. Yankees have chances to get more runs in. They cannot do so. They cannot get the ghost runner in the top of the 11th, and the White Sox walk it off once again. Yankees 1-8 in extra innings this year. Not great for this Yankees team. Something that they're going to have to definitely work on, because games are going to be close. There's going to be pitchers' duels all throughout September and October. That's when the Yankees really need to step up. And I think looking at it, that's just a terrible sign. 1-8 in extra innings, worst record in baseball. You cannot make it up for the Yankees. Once they get past the 9 innings. They are just disastrous when it comes to extra innings baseball. So they end up splitting the series 2-2 in a series that they probably easily should have won, considering they were up 4-0 on Wednesday. So the Yankees end up continuing on in Chicago this weekend. They take on the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field, and it's a day game to start it off today. 2:20 start in the afternoon, as it's going to be Will Warren on the mound. 7-5, 4.41 ERA for the Yankees against the lefty Shota Imanaga. 7-8 with a 3.72 ERA. Cubs have been red hot right now, and they are 15 games over 500. A big reason for that is Pete Crow Armstrong on an absolute tear. 285 average, 24 homers, 63 RBIs, and he's doing everything he can in the field as well. They are getting great contributions recently from Alex Bregman. Has finally woke up this season, only batting 248, but he is red hot recently, and the Yankees need to respond. They do not have a lot of healthy guys in this lineup, but the guys that are in the lineup definitely need to step up to another level, and we'll see how that goes. They start a 3-game set in Chicago against the Cubs. What a battle it will be. 3 great games Friday to Sunday this weekend. So we'll see what happens, but make sure you tune in this afternoon, 2:20 start. It's Warren and Imanaga at Wrigley. Shifting things to the other side of New York, as the New York Mets were also in action this week. They took on the Atlanta Braves at Citi Field, and it started off with a Mets win, 14-3 on Monday. Really good stuff from Zach Thornton, who ends up getting his second win of the year, and the Mets ended up taking it too. The Braves laid on in this one. I mean, this game was tied 3-3 heading into the bottom of the 6th inning, but then Marcus Semien broke the tie with a 2-run bomb into left center, gave the Mets a 5-3 lead. Tyrone Taylor ends up hitting a 3-run bomb himself to give the Mets an 8-3 lead, continuing his scorching hot stretch. And then the Mets continued to add on, really took it to the Braves bullpen. They put up 14 runs and win it 14-3, the final on 19 hits, which ties a season high, and actually is a season high in 9-inning games for the Mets this year. So great stuff in game 1. They end up getting postponed due to rain on Tuesday, and they play a day-night doubleheader on Wednesday. It started off on Wednesday afternoon with the Mets getting a 3-2 win. Francisco Alvarez hits an RBI double, and then it's A.J. Ewing who hits a sac fly. 2-0 Mets in the bottom of the 5th. Matt Olson responds with a 2-run bomb off of Sean Manaea, and that was his only mistake of the day, allowing Matt Olson to really get into one into center field. It's 2-2, but then Carson Bench with a huge RBI double in the bottom of the 7th to make it 3-2. Mets bullpen locks it down with Brazoban, Weaver, and Williams. Brazoban ends up getting the win. Williams ends up getting the save, and the Mets win the series. They end up winning the second game of the 3-game set, 3-2, the final. Then you go into Wednesday's game, the final game of the 3-game set. Mets had already won the first 2, but Chris Sale was on the mound and wanting a huge win for the Braves. After they dropped the first couple of games, they definitely had to bounce back, and the Mets, give them credit, they played them tough, but it was just a snooze fest in the night game of this 3-game set. With Chris Sale on the mound, he does not allow much. 6 innings, 2 hits, no runs with no walks and 9 Ks. Goes to 12-6 on the year. Christian Scott on the other side, really good for the Mets all day long, but just allowed that 1 run, that 1 earned run on Matt Olson's RBI single. And Olson had himself a day. He hits the 2-run home run in the first game, an RBI single in the second game, and he gives the Braves a 1-0 lead. That's how it would finish. The Mets go out with just 2 hits in the final game of the series. They lose it 1-0, but win the series 2 out of 3 against Atlanta. The Mets had Nolan McLean on the mound. He really pitched well in this game. 6 1/3, 6 hits allowed, 2 earned runs with 2 walks and 6 Ks. Just made a couple of mistakes. The big one to Kyle Stowers, and then another one to Jacob Marcy. It was 2-2 heading into the 8th inning, and Luis Robert Jr., Met fans waiting all season long for this sign, and he ends up hitting a huge 2-run single with the bases loaded or with a couple of runners on to give the Mets a 4-2 lead. That's how it would finish. Williams comes in for the save, and the Mets end up getting another win, have won 4 of their last 5. Brooks Raley gets the win as well. Really good stuff from him. An inning and 2/3, 1 hit allowed, no runs with no walks and 1 K. 14 pitches was all it took to get 5 outs. Really efficient, and a guy who's probably going to play his last game as a New York Met right there and then against the Miami Marlins. So a sad sign for that, but the Mets have been playing solid baseball the last couple of games and really taking it to Atlanta early on in that series. Followed that with another win against the Miami Marlins on Thursday. So the Mets right now continuing to roll after they also won that last game of the series against the Dodgers, and they go into Friday's game now. It's Freddie Peralta on the mound. Will he actually be on the mound for this game? That's still a question. Of course, he's on the trade block right now, probably going to get traded, actually will get traded before Monday's deadline. It just is a question mark where he will go and who will be willing to give up the price for Freddie Peralta right now. Jansen Junk on the other side, 4-6, 4.89 ERA, and Peralta 5-9, 4.99 ERA. Really struggling so far this season. But the Marlins are at 500 right now, 55-55. The Mets 16 games under 500, 47-63. We'll see what happens. Make sure you tune in. 7:10 start tonight out at Citi Field. It's Peralta and Junk as the Mets take on the Marlins out in Queens. Let's finish things off today ahead of the deadline. What will the Yankees do ahead of Monday's MLB Trade Deadline? They absolutely need a catcher, preferably right-handed. Austin Wells has not done the job so far this year. The Yankees were interested in Ryan Jeffers, but the Twins are buying, not selling, so he's off the board. The Yankees could also use an outfielder. Depth in the outfield is absolutely a must with Cody Bellinger and Aaron Judge both on the IL right now. But looking at the rest of the Yankees, the bullpen could use a couple more arms to really lengthen them out. And the starting rotation, I think, is fine. Maybe they use another arm and upgrade, but not enough for Tarek Skubal. And I think Tarek Skubal's price is just going to be a little bit too high. It doesn't make sense right now for the Yankees to give up a guy like George Lombard Jr., who's going to be in the lineup and going to be in the majors in just a couple of weeks. He's been scorching hot in the minors this season. Why would you give up on that for 6 months of a rental or 3 months of a rental of Tarek Skubal? Doesn't make sense in my mind, and I think the Yankees will pass on Skubal. If they get an opportunity to go after Mason Miller, I think they will do so. I don't think they'll give up Lombard to do that, but I think they'll be definitely in the race and probably the top team in the race if Miller becomes available. So the Yankees have a lot of moves to make before the deadline. What will they do? They still have to get the job done, and I think catcher and then outfielder will absolutely help out this lineup and lengthen out this lineup, especially with the Yankees' injuries right now. The Mets have a lot to do before Monday's deadline. They already dealt A.J. Minter to the Minnesota Twins in exchange for a couple of prospects. Freddie Peralta definitely on the market. Scratch from tonight's start against the Marlins. What will the asking price be for Peralta, who has an ERA just under 5 this season? The Mets also have Luke Weaver, the top reliever, on the market. Has an extra year of control, so he's going to have a hefty price tag on him. And what will the price tag be in the end for Luke Weaver? Brooks Raley also going to be out the door for the Mets. The lefty has given the Mets so much out of the bullpen in recent years, been so solid, and he's going to be dealt as well at the age of 38. And Clay Holmes, along with Tyrone Taylor, both guys on expiring contracts. Holmes coming back from the injury on May 15th against the Yankees. And of course, he had a great rehab assignment start in Single A St. Lucie a couple days ago, where a lot of scouts were eyeing him ahead of Monday's deadline. Tyrone Taylor, another guy who's going to be on the market. The outfielder can give depth to a couple of teams, including the crosstown rival in the New York Yankees. Taylor's been raking recently, and that's a guy who can get a nice price right now, especially on an expiring contract out of Queens. So we'll see what happens, but make sure you tune in on Monday's episode, and we'll recap all of it all of the trades that will go on in the next couple of days ahead of Monday's MLB Trade Deadline. But that will do it for episode 176 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malamuth. Thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Monday.